Welcome back everyone to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. Now this video should be a little bit shorter than some of the others simply because normally the things that we go through in this first part of the video, we really don't have that much to go over now. So I'll start with our quick summary as I always do. In the driver standings, we are now first and third with Sergio within striking distance of second. It sure would be nice to sweep the first and second positions in the driver championship. And in the team standings, we are well ahead with everything in hand with 2 events left to go. Now, this next event in Vancouver should be our weakest, one of our weakest of the season, simply because if you look ahead, you've got medium speed corners, high speed corners, and top speed. Well, of course, high speed corners and top speed, we don't have to worry about because those are spec parts. But medium speed corners, that is the suspension. And if we come over to the car, that is our weakest part. Our suspension, we are 9th and well below average. So if there's going to be anywhere that we should have trouble, it should be at this next race. But thankfully, we have plenty of a lead going into this in both the driver and team standings. So that's perfectly fine. But the main thing I wanted to point out here is if you remember back to if we take a look at our staff, you notice that in this last race, we used the nurse perk that Kelly Shaw has, which allows the car condition, it says, to drop slightly lower. Well, of course, you have no idea what slightly means. I mean, pretty much everything in racing is either in seconds or tenths or hundredths of a second, or if you're talking about money, it's in dollars and cents. And whenever you're talking about improving something, generally you're talking in percentage points. Well, you don't get that here. It says slightly slower. Okay, so if we come into our mail, we always get an email after every race that says car condition update. Well, if we take a look in here, Sergio, 41% lost on his car condition. Rafael, only 23%. That is huge. I had no idea that you could get anything close to that. I mean, that's basically half is what it did. So the slightly term really messes things up there. It should tell you that, hey, it's about half. So it's a huge benefit. And that is, if you're like me, you're thinking ahead to the beginning of the season and you're thinking, wow, with all those reliability issues, it sure would be great if you had this nurse perk on both cars. But so because in general, generally the tires wearing more slowly hasn't been all that productive for us. So now I'm thinking ahead and I'm thinking this nurse perk is tremendous. So we'll have to see if that remains true as we go on. Does he stay at 20 to 25% condition loss, or does it vary some per track? But that is the first time that I can say it would be extremely useful and would override, at the beginning of the season anyway, it would override any performance bonuses we have on the tires. So now if we look at some of the other things we got going, scouting, I have filled up our queue once again, so nothing going on there. And if we take a look at our sponsors, we will be getting a new sponsor after this next race. So that's something to look forward to. But again, not much going on here. So I'll see you at the racetrack. It is race time. And in qualifying, it was quite the interesting qualifying session again with more rain coming in. But we did get a little bit of time at the very end of the qualifying session. So if you timed it out right, you could get a great lap in on the dry weather tires. Unfortunately, everybody saw that just as I did and came out at the same time. However, we got great qualifying positions out of it. Practice was the same thing, a lot of rain mixed in with some dry weather. So we didn't have time to get the full bonuses on any kind of tire. But we did get the race trim bonus of 15% there. And then we also have the ultra soft tire performance of 5%. Now, the race looks to be also interesting because if we see the water on track, you can see very quickly around lap 3, it starts to climb. And then lap 4, particularly, it starts to get up. Lap 4 and 5, it gets up into the intermediate range. So what I'm going to do is start out the race as we take a look at the setups. Sergio will start third, 95% on his setup, so that's great. We're going to start out on the dry weather tires because I think if we started out on inters for the first 3 laps, it would just eat the inters up and we would be slower. So I think we're in good shape to do that. Uh, you can see the water on track where the inters really perform well. They start to really come in somewhere around a third of the way up and then really come into their own around 50 to 60% of the way. So we're going to start out on the Ultra Softs. Fuel shows 10, but that is about 7 laps worth of fuel. So we're going to try to do this a little different. We're going to go 7, 6, and 6, or some variation of that. Let's take a look very quickly at Rodriguez and see that he is at 98%. Now, this is the first time I can remember going full 100% on the suspension stiffness and pushing it quite this far. Maybe I have, and just, because I generally don't remember the setups very much. But that is odd that I went full suspension stiffness there. Same thing on the Ultra Softs, and same thing on the fuel. Again, it will be very interesting coming in to the pits, and hopefully we don't stack them up. But the good thing we'll have going for us is even though we're going to pit at that time, we are going to, let's see, I tell you what, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to be running, well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and change up on the fly here. Let's go ahead and change up the fuel and let's put a ton of fuel on board here. And the reason I'm doing this 14 would give us about 10 laps of fuel. Now, we may not need that, but I'm figuring once we come in for inters, that may be a good time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for both cars now that I see that, just to give ourselves some options. That's probably going to slow us down a little bit for the first couple of laps, but we are going to be running hard. Okay. Now, driver strategy, both, because we're going to only run a couple of 3 laps on these tires, I'm going to go full attack mode for the beginning of this race, and we're going to see what happens. So we've got tons of fuel on board, but that's okay, because with that ton of fuel that we've got on board, it's going to give us some options. It's going to slow us down a little bit, no doubt, but it's going to give us some options to see what's going to happen once we get to the beginning. Okay, and Rodriguez jumps immediately out while Sergio loses some spots. So that is definitely not what we wanted to see. All right, we'll keep an eye on this as the rain will start to come in. We'll want to make sure before that amount of water on the track gets too high that we get in and really take on the intermediates, and then we'll see where we are on fuel as the track hopefully dries out, but maybe it doesn't. Okay, so now the rain is going to start to hit the track. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to divide things out here. I'm going to go ahead and bring Sergio in. You can see he's much farther behind. We're going to roll the dice here with him. We're going to leave Rodriguez out for an extra lap. And again, sort of roll the dice. I don't think we're high enough where full wets would be the best case scenario for us. So I'm going to go inters. Again, no fuel, pit stop strategy as fast as we can get it. Only 4 seconds in the pit lane here. All right, so here everybody comes in. So again, I'm taking a chance here with Rodriguez. Okay, let's go ahead and plan his pit stop as well. Enters, no fuel, and quick strategy. You can see only 3 seconds there, plus the delta time of having to actually make the pit stop. But you can see how far ahead he is right now and how far ahead Sergio is. Everybody has gone on full wets, which will be a great idea for a few laps. I'm just not sure how it's going to turn out over a full stint, because you can see. Okay, let's back it down, way down. Let's see, let's go ahead and push for Rodriguez since he's just coming out. And we'll let his tires, oh, looks like they're already up to temperature. So we'll go ahead and back off of that. Okay, now we can take a look and see. So at about lap, well, actually about lap 10 or so, we'll be able to come in. All right, we have a huge lead. I'm going to go ahead and back both of these guys down. And again, that's just to make this fuel last as long as we can make it last. We have a huge lead. These guys are going to start gaining on us as the track continues to get wetter. But I'm hoping that we've gotten a big enough lead. As you can see, I mean, we're 37 seconds up on these guys now. We're going to come out to the end of the field here shortly. All right, so we're 40 seconds up, 41 seconds up, and now it's really going to start to come in on the full wets. All right, so we're 43 seconds up. We'll see how that comes down. Okay, can we come in for wets? No, we will not be coming in for full wets, because just as soon as we came in, okay, again, we just need to hang in there for a couple of laps here where the full wets are coming in. Again, third place, still 43 seconds out. Now they're starting to come in on us. There we go. Now it's starting to drop, but unfortunately for them, that's only going to be good for a lap or two that they're going to really be gaining on us. Again, you can see this thing is really dropping. But this is the lead that we worked hard to build up. So this is why we worked hard to build this lead. All right, now it's going to start to come back down. And they're, all right, so now they're at 31 seconds. And we're going to start to see just how much we can do. Again, we backed off a little bit on our speed. And all right, so it looks like some of these guys are, it looks like most of them rather, are trying to do this on one stop. For us, we are not. We are going to continue to run this thing. I say one stop, I mean with regards to fuel, that is. Now, which we are very close to doing it on one stop with fuel as well. Okay, now the track really starts to dry out quite a bit. And now our enters really jump back up, and with that, you can see our lap times are just dwarfing theirs. Okay, now they're going to start coming in. Okay, when do we want to come in? Okay, we're going to run one more lap with Rodriguez, but we're going to go ahead and come in now for Sergio. I think that is that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. The key here is going to be fuel. We have 10 laps remaining, and for that we need roughly that amount of fuel. So it's going to take quite a bit of time to do that. All our parts look just fine. All right, so we're going to come out there. So now, as Rodriguez has passed the start-finish line, we'll go ahead and queue up his pit stop. We'll do the same thing here. He's only going to need 9 laps of fuel, though. So we're going to go ahead and give him about 13. Okay, everything looks perfectly fine. Okay, now we're in here. Okay, good job on the fueling, good job on the tires. Excellent. All right, looks like toward the end of the race, we're actually going to be needing to come back in for enters, it looks like, which is perfectly fine with us. All right, now you can see. All right, here we go. All right, now let's make sure that we are pushing. Let's see, I take that back. We don't need to push with him. All right, now Rodriguez will be coming into the pits. All right, and we're going to have him. Looks like he is perfectly fine. All right, he is out to a huge lead. Now, for some reason that I have yet to figure out, Sergio is falling back rather quickly. I mean, his tire temperatures are perfectly fine there. Everything looks fine. I mean, the brakes are a little bit low, but that we're used to that. That's not anything new. So I'm not quite sure why he's falling back. Okay, I guess he was just that slow on the tires. Okay, everybody is on enters, so they're going to be coming in this lap, I would imagine. Oh, and now we've got an issue. So, okay, so maybe this is what it amounted to. All right, so yep, we're going to have to come in anyway. Let's go ahead, and fuel should be no problem whatsoever. Part condition, we're going to have to fix that part. Yeah, and while we're in here, let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and put on the final set. Yeah, might as well. Since we're going to be in here anyway, let's go ahead and set up the pits. All right, so that's why he was falling back so hard. All right, now he's going to be out of the points now at this point. All right, so we're going to have him basically just go full attack mode. All right, now the track is about as dry as it's going to get. All right, ignore. The track is, yeah, it's a little damp, but not very. All right, so now we really need Sergio to try to make up some time if he's got any shot at the points. So he's got a lot of time to make up. In the meantime, we've got Rodriguez out here running some great lap times. Tire's a little bit cold, but I really don't want to push with him. He's got a 30-second lead on second place. No reason that I can think of to really push there. What we're going to do is watch the track for the dampness. Okay, now Sergio is back in business. He's in fifth. Now that we're all on, well, they're still on enters. So it looks like these guys, for some reason, have not come in for dry weather tires. If you look at the lap times, we are crushing them on lap time. Okay, now if we take a look at our dampness, all right, so this next time by, it looks like it's going to be a good idea for us to go ahead and come in, put on some enters. So let's go ahead and have Sergio come in first. Let's see, let's make sure that's right. Yeah, I think that's the best thing. We're perfectly fine there. No parts issues. Okay, excellent. All right, and now that Rodriguez has passed the pit entry, we can go ahead and line him up. Okay, we'll put enters on. No more fuel is needed. And let's see, everything looks great right here. We'll go for fast. All right, as the rain starts to come down. So we've got Sergio, who will be the first one to come in. All right, and he is in for his pit stop now. And we're going to go ahead and mark him down to push. Okay, and now he is gone. And we're going to have push here as well. So Sergio is off and running in fifth. And everybody is now on enters, but the difference is our enters, everybody else looks like they're about halfway worn. Ours are brand new. So Sergio should be able to take fourth here. He does. Now he is up to fourth. Now third place is well ahead. As we get down to 2 laps remaining. Okay, yeah, looks like first and fourth is going to be our best opportunity, as now we've caught the back of the field and we're definitely putting cars a lap down now. Okay, so Sergio is well back of third. A good 19 to 20 seconds there. So here we are on the final lap with Rodriguez, and he has a huge lead, as he is now spending most of his time working the lap traffic. And he has a 24-second lead on second place. Wow. So Sergio, as he finishes up again, he's almost 18 seconds out of second, out of third. So no real opportunity there for him here at the end of the race, but everything worked out really about as good as it possibly could have. Sergio still managed to finish on fourth, just off the podium, even though we had to come in and do a lengthy repair there. Without that, I think he had a real shot at finishing second. At worst, finishing third. So either way, I really like how this turned out. You can see again, they were taking enters the whole way through. Not exactly sure why they would do that. Now this makes more sense. I don't understand coming in for one lap for enters and then coming back in again. That doesn't make much sense to me. But 3 stops is all we made for the win. Everybody else made at least 4, including Sergio, which that helped him out that everybody else came in so often. All right, so a great result for us. Scrutineering is a non-issue for us. All right, Sergio had one penalty, which I actually don't remember him getting. But regardless, we get 2 extra points for the pole and increase our lead yet again. Again, the points here, 12 points for a win, only 6 for a second place finish. So you can see just winning races has an absolutely huge effect on the points. Now, driver championship, Rafael has a huge lead there, but now Sergio has moved into a tie for second place. That's what we want to be. So let's see if we can't continue that toward the end of the season. Let's go ahead and move through this. So now this is just getting embarrassing at this point. We're now 63 points up on second place. All right, let's go ahead and move through to the final couple of screens where we'll take a look at the money as well as the happiness. Okay, morale, everything looking good across, marketability, happiness, all of that is basically unchanged. We've reached a point where, relationship status for the drivers, morale for the drivers, all of that is essentially unchanged. And then we get a nice chunk of change here to take us all the way up to $8.7 million. All right, that is exactly what I like to see. And we'll end it here. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode of our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager.